When you think of Far Cry, what do you think of first? To me, I think of an open world game that's basically a Ubisoft game at its core, trying to uncover parts of the map, and generally playing by yourself while, fighting off against some incredibly charismatic villain that is largely just supposed to be a copy and paste of Vast from Far Cry 3. At least that's kind of what the formula has been for the most part since Far Cry 3 to Far Cry 6. Far Cry 1 and 2 were actually far more unique games where they were more action oriented. And rather than this whole exploratory aspect, which while it was done incredibly well in Far Cry 3, that's also not to say that, the ideas that were taken and used in Far Cry 3 that were so well done eventually just ended up running their course in a way, if you want to say it. But basically, Ubisoft is confirming that Far Cry is going to push more multiplayer into the future, according to Yves Guillemot, who comments on Far Cry's future following reports of a possible multiplayer entry. And this is really, really annoying to hear because it basically is pushing me away from playing a Far Cry game because I enjoyed the single player aspects of running around in an area and basically just kind of playing by myself. I'm predominantly or primarily a single player gamer at the end of the day, so it is what it is for me. Unfortunately, you can't just stop people from making multiplayer titles, but having a multiplayer focused entry feels a little bit weird because Far Cry 3 did have co-op in the form of these missions that you can do with drop and drop out co-op. Far Cry 4 you could play through the campaign and do some more stuff in co-op. Far Cry 5 I don't remember what you could do in co-op. I know I played the Zombies DLC in co-op because that was tough to do by yourself, but I think beyond that I can't really remember much. Oh no, actually, you know what? Someone could play as Herc. I'm pretty Herc or Hulk or Herc or something like that. Maybe that was Far Cry 4 and I'm just misremembering things. But yeah, so with that being said, there have been multiplayer elements in the past. It just hasn't been an integral element to Far Cry as a whole. But I guess Ubisoft are just really wanting to add multiplayer to the Far Cry games. Lord knows why. It's not like they're going to be making some sort of free-to-play Far Cry game. God forbid that ever happens. But yeah, so speaking on stage at Saudi Arabia's new global sport conference covered by GameFile, CEO Yves Guillemot was asked about the future of the shooter series, which recently fell under the control of a new Tencent-backed subsidiary. According to Guillemot, the goal of Far Cry is to bring the multiplayer aspects more predominantly pushed so that it can be played for a long time by players. I don't think there's ever a world in which multiplayer games should be played more than 50 hours, because to be completely honest, at some point the stuff the content has to get old. And before anyone says anything, people primarily play multiplayer games with friends. I get that, but the thing is it still fun? Because the problem is everything is fun with friends, but if your friends weren't there, would it still be fun? Probably not for 99% of these types of games. And I say 99 because at least there's one game I can say that was always fun, regardless of if I played with randoms or friends. In fact, I actually never played with a friend now that I'm thinking about it. That was Final Fantasy 14. That was a brilliant time. But yeah, the execs comments potentially corroborate reports from 2023, which claimed that Ubisoft was developing Far Cry 7 and a standalone Far Cry multiplayer games. I guess having a standalone game kind of makes a bit of sense, given that in the past we've seen multiple, standalone titles. From Far Cry 3, we had Blood Dragon, we had Far Cry 4, we had Primal after Far Cry 4, we had the technical sequel to Far Cry 5 that I can't remember the name of, that had the twins as a villain. Far Cry 6 I don't think has had anything like that yet, so maybe we'll just wait and see if that's going to happen at all. But Far Cry 7 getting a standalone multiplayer game is interesting to see. And it was claimed that it was going to be on the Snowdrop engine, and that it was going to be an extraction-based shooter set in the Alaskan wilderness, which is interesting to think about because, keeping in mind, Ubisoft have done an extraction-based game with Rainbow Six Extraction, which was supposed to be Rainbow Six, but, well, extraction shooter rather than Rainbow Six shooter, etc., etc. Now Far Cry 6, so I haven't played Far Cry 6, but it was released in 2021 and included online campaign co-op, but didn't have any competitive components. And I don't think a lot of Far Cry games have competitive components. I think they're mostly just cooperative components by all accounts. And it was released by Ubisoft Toronto. Interesting. Okay, so they're the ones who developed Far Cry 6. There's nothing particularly special to mention here. So I guess we've kind of looked at all elements of the news now, so it's really just a matter of what's everyone thinking, because to be completely honest, I'm not a fan of this idea, nor am I thinking about this in any positive light. That's only because I don't play Far Cry games for the multiplayer aspects. I specifically play Far Cry for the single player, sometimes the story if it's any good, though largely it's never been. I think the only time the story's ever been good was Far Cry 3, but then again it was only good because it presented an interesting villain, it presented a nice looking open world in the form of Rook Island, and it felt fairly unique at the time because it genuinely was, until every other game aped it and started doing their own version of the exact same thing. And you might argue that Assassin's Creed 2 technically started it, but I feel like Far Cry 3 almost certainly refined it, I think, the best. Because the thing is that early Assassin's Creed, I should say, 2, 3, the combat for those games were kind of jank and a few little bits and pieces sort of all over the place, but that's kind of just, I guess, my thoughts and reactions to the story and kind of just the general idea of what they're going for here. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, the usual stuff. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions. But with all that being said though, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.